PvP Legacy is a popular Minecraft server, famous for its custom kit creator, in which you can create your own PvP kits to fight others with. My favourite thing to do on this server is to fight random people using their kits. So, today, I'm going to be trying to win 5 fights in a row to prove that I am a versatile PvPer. So without further ado, let's get into the first fight. I spawned into this kit and the first thing I saw was TNT and a fishing rod, and I really wanted to get a fishing rod TNT kill. If you don't know what I mean by this, basically you can hook onto TNT with a fishing rod, and then you can fling the TNT in the direction you pull the fishing rod. So, I tried to place the first piece of TNT, but a problem emerged. I thought it would automatically ignite, but sadly I needed a flint and steel, and by the time that was in my inventory, the opportunity had passed. Not to be discouraged, I tried again and it was pathetic. Not only did he place a block, completely blocking the TNT, I pulled it in the wrong direction. I tried a couple more times, but it wasn't working, and eventually he popped my totem, forcing me to give up and resort to normal PvP, in which I gradually drained him of his resources before finally defeating him. Straight away, I moved on to the next fight, which was much more overpowered than the previous. The armor was completely maxed out with protection 4, the most powerful possible in the game. The idea of the kit was to use your sword and shield to catch your opponent off guard and defeat them before they have a chance to eat their enchanted golden apples. However, my opponent was incredibly good at PvP, and I found myself on the back foot from the start. After I lost all my totems, I died, but it was at this point I realised I needed to play 3 rounds of this kit. This was both good news and bad news, because it meant I could redeem myself, but it might just end up embarrassing me further. I lost the second round much quicker than the first, and I decided to give up and kill myself in the third and final round. However, I even failed to do this, which was the cherry on top of an awful fight for me, resetting my win streak back to 0. The next kit was much more up my street. It was a simple rendition of Axe PvP with the added addition of an ender pearl teleporting you wherever you throw it, and a totem of undying which gives you another life when you are supposed to have died. I thought I would be able to win this kit, but I realised too late that the difficulty with playing other people's kits is that they are the people that get the most practice with them. This was shown by their mastery of the axe, sword and shield in combination. So, while I did try my best, and got impressively close during both rounds, eventually my opponent came out on top. It was worth noting, embarrassingly, that the only reason I lost the second round is because of my inability to hold my totem at the point I was killed. Because of this, my win streak remained at 0. This next kit was one of my favourites, as it was an OP kit that had completely maxed out armour and tools, as well as 4 different types of potions to boost you during the battle. Fire resistance, which stops you from taking damage to fire. Speed, which increases the movement of your character. Strength, which increases your attack damage. And finally, the most interesting one, Turtle Master, which gives you resistance from 80% of damage, and is perfect to get out of a sticky situation. Me and my opponent were both quite good at this kit. We fought back and forth for a long time, and eventually the fight moved to a cave. This is where it started to go downhill, as my opponent was much better than me at fighting in this enclosed area. Eventually he got me very low, and I had to splash one of my potions of Turtle Master so as not to die. I used the time I had with almost complete immunity to damage to regain full HP, and use an ender pearl to go towards the cave entrance. I managed to force the fight out of the cave, but my opponent still had the upper hand, and after a tough fight, the durability on my helmet ran out and it broke, leading me to lose the fight almost instantly. This next fight was so fast that I died before I even realised how I was supposed to be fighting. I was killed before I even noticed the Totem of Undying in my hotbar, and all I can really say about it is how embarrassing it was, as I got absolutely destroyed. This fight was what I needed to get myself together and focus up for the next kit. This next kit is definitely the strangest kit I played. It was a combination of a bow battle with close-up PvP as an option. I got some really strong hits in with the bow at the beginning, and it gave me the opportunity to rush in and get some hits in with my sword. All of this combined eventually led to the downfall of my opponent. Now I was finally gaining momentum. However, this next kit was quite complex. At a first glance, I had no idea what to do. But, as always, if in doubt, smack your opponent in the head with your sharpness 5 diamond sword. The problem was, there was knockback too, making it really annoying to maintain combos. Luckily, you can't enchant an axe with knockback, so I won that game by only using my axe. At first glance, this next kit seems great, but the problem is, there is no strength, which basically means if you are only eating golden apples while the opponent is only critical hitting you, then you will heal to full, basically making you immortal unless you make a really stupid mistake. I made a really stupid mistake. Anyway, moving on to the next fight, with our count reset to 0. I'm starting to think this challenge is impossible. For this kit, it is way too easy to one-shot your opponent, and I couldn't get the hang of it, so even though I tried really hard, all my opponent had to do was place a piece of obsidian with an end crystal on top, and I just died. Annoyingly, the same was true for the next kit, in which exactly the same thing happened, and all it did was crush my spirits even more. Luckily, the next kit was nice and simple, and all I had to do was out PvP my opponent. And this is when things started to turn around. The next kit had me very concerned. TNT minecarts, a fantastic tool for high damage. However, you need to be very good at the game to use them correctly. Luckily, me and my opponent weren't quite at that standard. In the entirety of the 2 rounds, nobody hit a successful TNT minecart. However, because the sword had no enchantments on it, the fight dragged out for a while. Eventually I realised while the sword had nothing on it, the axe had sharpness 4. And once I realised that, the fight ended relatively quickly. To this day, I don't really understand why the sword did so little damage, because the armour didn't have any normal protection, so theoretically it should be doing much more than it was. My favourite thing about this fight was my cobwebs, because I think some of them were pretty clean. Anyway, now that I had beaten this guy, I was 2 wins away from my 5, so the next 2 fights had to go perfectly. We did it! After too many failed attempts, I finally managed to get 5 wins in a row. Thanks for watching. This video was my biggest project yet, so please subscribe so I can make even cooler videos in the future.